Hi, I'm Chris, 46 Club Runner. Hope you're well. And today I'm going to be answering a question that I've been asked many times. What pace should I be training at? The way I like to do things is just keep it nice and simple. I don't like to confuse people, don't like to confuse myself. So I found a calculator that you put in your time, a PB for that given distance, whether it be 5k, 10k, 10 miles. Ideally you put in your 5k time, and what it would do is give you all your paces from easy, tempo, VO2 max, speed session and your long run. So it breaks it all down for you, and it also gives a description of what these individual sections are. So I'm just going to obviously just lightly mention what they do, but if you want to find out more, go into the link below, put in your times, and then you can read what they do more in depth. So my 5k time is 17:58. So I put that time in. First one it brings up is my easy pace, and my easy pace comes up as 7:29. And that easy pace should be done at a conversational pace. Shouldn't be, you shouldn't be struggling to talk. And also, I know that pace is right because it matches my math tone pace, which is 180 minus my age, which is 135 beats per minute. And I can run at that pace quite comfortably. And I would typically do that pace on anywhere from a short to medium or my long run. So that could be anywhere from 4 miles, 8 miles, or obviously a long run, which I get to in a minute. And the advantage of doing this is that you're keeping your intensity low, you're lowering the risk of injury, and you're going to be able to increase your mileage safely. So 80 to 90% of your weekly mileage should be done at this pace, and that's going to build your aerobic fitness and your muscle strength. God, I can't even talk. And as you know, I like to train at 80-20, 90-10, because that seems to work and it keeps away, touch wood, injuries. Right, so let's move on to the tempo run pace. So you will see on the calculator it doesn't mention anything about threshold, because some people would like to say they're similar, but I like to believe that they are different. But I will get to that in a minute. So the time based on my 5k is 6:13 per mile. And the way that, if we want to roughly work out that, if we said that my race pace was 5:45, you typically add 25 to 30 seconds on your your race pace, the kind of average, which would be about right. That's kind of 6:13. And session wise, I may do up to a 4-mile run, or I might include that in the middle of a longer run. So I might do obviously a few miles, an easier pace, better tempo work, and then easy to finish. So you can obviously do different sessions, but if you was to do further distances, say for instance, if you do 10 miles, then obviously that tempo pace will change. So if I run 10 miles, my race pace would be about 6:30 per mile. So to get the tempo pace, I would add roughly 25 to 30 seconds, which means I should be training at 6:55 to 7-minute miling. And so, that's just a rough rule. There are obviously, you can go on heart rates and stuff like that. So if I was to go on a tempo run, my heart rate might be around about the 155 to kind of 160, around that sort of mark. Right, so let's explain threshold pace. So the easiest way to do it is if you was to take your race pace, take your tempo pace, then your threshold pace would be kind of bang in the middle. So if we was to do it on my 5k, which was 5:45, and then we said that my tempo pace was 6:13, so my threshold pace for 5k would be bang in the middle, and that would be at 6-minute miling. Session wise, a threshold for a 5k would probably be up to the kind of distance, or a 20-minute run. You can take that forward into a longer run if you wished. So let's do the same again. If we was to do a threshold 10-mile run, so obviously that would be quite a strain on the body. So it would take the formula again. So 6:30 per mile in. The formula on this one is slightly different. It is plus 15 seconds. So if we plus 15 seconds on that mile time of 6:30, then that would be at 6:45 pace. So I kind of hope that kind of makes sense. Obviously, let me know in the comments if you want me to kind of explain it more. But it's quite, it's quite a difficult one to explain. Then the next one is VO2 Max. You might have seen on your watch, that number that goes up and down depending on what type of training you do. And to increase that, you're going to have to do certain types of reps. So it's saying that I need to do them reps at around about 5:36 per mile pace. And they would typically be a kind of longer speed session with a kind of jog recovery in between. And they would be like 800 meters. So I'd be doing, reps of them. So it could be anywhere 4, 6, 7, 8, depending on obviously your given fitness in that time. And so basically that's going to improve your running economy, and it's going to help sharpen you up for a race. That then brings us on to a speed session, which is very similar, but shorter. So instead of the 800, you're going to be doing 400 repeats, and then you're going to have a small kind of jog recovery. And it's saying that I would do that quicker because obviously we're doing shorter, and that would be about 5 minutes 11 per mile. And that's going to be similar to the benefits of VO2 Max, but that's going to get your leg speed turning over a bit quicker. So ultimately help you to run faster. And then it brings us on to the last one, which is your long run. So your long run should be done at an easy pace. So I mentioned before that 7:29 was my easy pace, but that would vary depending on the distance. So if I'm doing between say 10 and 13, then my easy pace would be anywhere between the 7:29 and 7:45. But if I was to increase that to 15, 20, then I can drop that down to 8:28. So it just means that obviously increasing the distance, we're lowering that intensity, and I can still increase the mileage safely over that given week. So what you're also doing, the kind of benefits of that is on the long run, I suppose it's the kind of key foundation to most of your training really. I suppose the easy runs and your long runs are the most important ones, especially the long runs, because you're building that kind of base. So if you imagine that you're building a triangle, so the bigger base that you can build, the higher that the triangle is going to be. So if you imagine like speed sessions, they're the kind of higher bits of the triangle, and your long slow runs and easy runs at the bottom. If you was to not build a big enough base and put in too much speed work, then basically the pyramid's just going to fall over, which means you're going to injure yourself. So I think the key of all this, the different types of training, it does depend on whether you're racing and what you're doing in the time of year. So this type of year you would probably be just concentrating more on your kind of easy and long runs, and maybe just sprinkling a bit of kind of tempo work. But it depends on you. For me as a time chaser, I can't just do easy runs. Once a week I like to just go out and just blow away the cobwebs just once a week. It might only be 20% of my weekly runs, it might only be 10, but that's just something that I like to do personally. So it's not something you need to do, but at different times of the year, when you tune up for races, then you would need to do your threshold runs, your VO2 max, your speed sessions. But I think the advantage of knowing your pacing is that you can do it safely. The lower intensity safely means you're not going to get injured. You increase the mileage, which means if you increase your mileage, you're going to increase your aerobic fitness, which means you're going to become quicker. So it is a kind of a win-win. But I think it's key to actually knowing the paces rather than kind of going out and kind of But these paces might vary, because from any given day, you might have had a not very good night's sleep, or from one day to the next, we run quicker. So these are just a guide, but as long as you keep, kind of basics, you can't go far wrong. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I will put the link, as I mentioned, down in the description. And if you do have any queries, because I haven't gone into great depth, please, just drop me a message and I'll try and get back to you. So I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, because it helps actually promote the channel, or helps YouTube to promote the channel. It's all to do with their algorithms. And if you're not subscribed, please consider. And if you are subscribed, thank you for your support. I can barely even talk. Thank you for your support, and as per always, I will speak to you soon. Cheers.